were mentioned talking about different plans. From what I understand, and I don't understand that much, the only people that can make a plan before this exclusivity time is over would be coming from Celsius. So, did I understand that right, or is there something I missed?
Yes, Celsius is the only one that can push the button to officially submit a plan within its exclusivity period. But again, what we can do is provide an outline or many details or the whole plan to the company so they can adopt it. Okay, and then they adopt it, they submit it, then it gets approved by UCC, yada yada. Yeah,
So
myself,
the plan
I'm
needs
not
to
good with
go
that.
from the community to Celsius to UCC, or from the community to UCC for Celsius to
It's
look it
all
over.
at the same time. It's all about getting the parties aligned on the same strategy. So the community who's voting on it needs to agree, the company who's implementing it needs to agree, and the UCC who's approving it needs to agree. And then the judge has to sign off. So
Okay,
it's
thank you very
about,
much.
yeah, I think that's what Alex was mentioning earlier is it's not about his plan or their plan or her plan. It's about coming together on one strategy that's going to work for everybody, right? And everyone's going to be a little disappointed, but after that, we're all going to avoid liquidation or buyouts, which we just need to sit on our hands for the next 3 years. That would be better than either of those two options.
So instead
What
of
if
an
people can't wait though
IOU,
for 3 years, Zach? What if people, either retired people like myself or other folks who are actually really hurting and they really cannot wait for the 3 years? What options are for them?
yeah,
Just
instead of an
before
IOU, why don't we just get the assets? I don't get that.
before yeah, before he answers that, just to explain one more thing. You have to understand that even after the company submits a plan and the UCC says we like it and it goes to the judge, it all comes back to us for a vote. Unless the community votes 2/3 of the dollars vote and at least half of the people vote for the plan, nothing happens. So if the company creates its own plan and no one likes it, then it goes back and nothing happens. You don't get out of Chapter 11. And if you do that several times, the judge is going to be like, okay, enough. We gave you enough chances. We're going to Chapter 7. So that's why, like what Zach was saying, that you want an iterative process. You want something, and that's why I presented immediately. The minute I had a plan, I presented my plan. And now Zach is presenting his plan, and Simon is presenting his plan. But what we need is unity. All of us need to compromise and have unity so the UCC and the company know that the plan that we're all talking about is definitely going to get approved because it came from the community, right? So you have to remember the last step is the most important step, is the vote. That's where Voyager is right now, right? Voyager is going to vote on accepting the SBF plan because they don't have anything else. Their community didn't come together, didn't say we want to keep it alive, didn't say we want to fight against this SBF plan, which really gives us whatever 60 cents on a dollar or whatever it is. Okay, now, Stefan, I think you were asking. This is not a binary plan. From what I understand, all the proposals are if you own whatever 10 CX tokens, you can take one of them and redeem it and still keep nine. So if you need liquidity, you should be able to do it. And again, if the company can give you a loan, it should give you a loan against the CX tokens.
My question is, if you have the assets to back the CX tokens, why wouldn't we just receive the assets?
Because you don't have all the assets in the beginning. At the beginning, you maybe can only redeem your CX for half of a BTC. Okay, so then you say, okay, great, I want the liquidity, so I'm going to burn my CX token and get half a BTC back. But now your claim on that one BTC
So you're
is
just
gone.
weighing the pool different.
Yeah, so it allows people the
Because I was
opportunity
using
to
Enzyme
get,
yesterday.
it allows people to get liquidity if they want it, but then allows others to hold off and wait for better recovery if they don't. But the rate is same for everybody, over time.
The really hard part in all of this, obviously, is trying to make everyone happy. So there's going to be some people that are happier than others. So it's just as a whole, just trying to all come together where it benefits the community as a whole. So having said that, the order
Right,
is
but that's why it's so important to get the custody out first, because the people that are probably hurting the most are the unaccredited, the people who can't afford to wait, right? So you got to get that out. That's chapter number one, right? Chapter number two is not complicate the plan with licenses and acquisitions and going forward and reopening and all that stuff. All of that means another 6 or 9 months in bankruptcy, right? So if we just focus on return of coins, right, the CX plan or some other plan that just focuses on return of coins, then we get out of bankruptcy quickly. And then all this cash flow that Zach is talking about is going to fill the buckets instead of filling the pockets of the lawyers.
May I ask where the revenue would be coming from?
Yeah, we just talked about that. We've got staking, we've got our mining company, and we've got litigation / claims that are coming into the company. All of that stuff, instead of it going to lawyers' fees every month, can go to fill up our buckets for better and better recovery. And it's an extremely substantial amount. It's more than enough to run the company as it stands today.
I hope so.
okay. So next we have Shark, then Joe, then GZA.
Thanks. So, hey, we had a speaker up here, Oscar Lance, and he was stating why, this formula from BTC seems unfair to him. But now that we've identified that value has to be based on the date of the bankruptcy, I think it alleviates that concern. Crypto BTC, you agree with that? And I think that's what we need to do. We need to whittle this down until we get to a place where we can all agree on certain deal points. Then we got to figure out what the best way to funnel that is. On yesterday's call, where Simon gave us 10 different categories that we need to answer in order to have a complete plan, what I'm understanding from the conversation today is that that's absolutely the wrong strategy in this case. We don't need to come up with a complete long-term business model to get out of the situation that we're in.
Everything he's
That
suggesting
wasn't a suggestion, by the way.
requires his licenses. Think about what he's saying to you. He's saying, you want to do this, you need my license. You want to do that, you need the salt license. You want to do something else, you need my license again. Now, buy my company, pay me a lot of money, which means you're going to get less, right? And then you can go ahead and reopen. But what if you don't need to reopen? What if you just want to return coins to everybody? You don't need any of those things. So the plan is very simple. If you just focus on returning coins to existing creditors, and that includes equity, that includes everything else that everybody here wants, right? The question is focusing on chapter 1 and chapter 2, and then doing chapter 3 later. Again, you can get out of chapter 11 without the third part even being completely worked out. You don't need it to get out of chapter 11. You don't need a single license to get out of chapter 11. That's the most important thing everybody has to understand.
So I think the right productive process at this stage is to continue with these ideas, to continue listening to the community, to find out who thinks what's unfair and why, and then to whittle that down until we can get some kind of consensus that, I guess, is there any way to measure that?
Zach supposedly has a full plan. When are you showing us the plan, Zach? We want to know if there's any holes in your plan, because we found holes in everybody else's plan.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to take credit as my plan. There's a fantastic team and someone else leading it, but yeah, that's exactly what we're here to do, Shark, is we've been listening to hundreds of hours of spaces and putting all this stuff together and compiling it into, again, what nobody is putting out is clear details, written format, slides with informations and breakdowns. And that's exactly what we're going to have here in the next week. So that's, the comprehensiveness of what we're going to present is very, very complete. And we want to make sure that that's something that people can all gather around. And then we can rally and say, this is the direction we want to go in, iron out the little details here and there. But again, get us to that first vote out of Chapter 11 so we stop burning $10, $15, $20 million a month that could be going into our pockets instead of the lawyers' pockets or SBF's pockets.
Right. And so, some of the critique we've gotten here is we're just keep going around in circles and arguing. Alex kind of alluded to that. But isn't that what this process should look like? Like, I just want to know, are we doing the right things for the stage that we're in? Or does Alex also believe we're spinning our wheels arguing about it indefinitely?
I think without writing things down and working through it, like you have to go through that process in order to go to conclusion at the end of the day. No matter how much we talk on spaces, if nothing gets written down and planned and coordinated with the UCC company, then of course you're never going to get anywhere. So that's why we're writing everything down. We're putting all the information together, and then we can present that to everybody, have the facts of the matter and the strategy written down so that we can argue it, discuss it, fix it as needed, and then push it forward through so that, again, we don't get into that worst case scenario of stagnation and prolonged bankruptcy. Or
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. So we have like a lot of requests. So if you can try to keep your questions down to maybe one or two out of respect to other people. Here's the order right here. We got Joe, then GZA, then Cam Cruz.
Okay, so Alex, I agree with you 100% that if we could all somehow pull a miracle and get out of Chapter 11 and just freeze everything where it is, that would give us time and the regulators time to work through things and make a profitable company. The issue is that we're working really, our fight right now is against the clock with Chapter 11. So we have a burn rate that's unsustainable. We have regulators that we have to, work through any plans to make sure that they're okay with it. So while I agree that it makes sense to just freeze everything, give people back their coins, which actually would kind of hurt the company because you'd have less assets and give less value to the entity. The issue is that I don't know that the court will go for a plan that doesn't have long-term feasibility in a way that the company has a vision for being profitable and making good on their promises, whether it's IOU tokens, equity, or anything like that. So just freezing, saying let's say we all today agreed that we're going to freeze everything, and we want to come out of Chapter 11. I don't think we'd have to hear from the UCC, but I don't think that would get us out of Chapter 11. We need a viable plan, even if it's going to be a 10-step plan that's going to take time. But we need a plan that the court will see as feasible and giving us more of a likelihood of getting more of our value that we put on the platform back over time. So just saying that we're going to, freeze everything, not worry about licenses, I don't think it's going to work. So my question for you is, and it's a hard question because I know you and Simon.
I didn't say that at all. All I said to you is that returning coins plus mining is plenty to be profitable and return all the assets to all the users. And for that, you don't need any licenses, nothing.
But that's
Okay?
essentially an unwind.
It's not. It's not unwind. You running
Joe, how's it an unwind?
running one of the largest mining companies in the world is not unwinding. It's not, right?
Running, but running just the mining is not enough to.
It's not just the mining. You have CX tokens. You're providing everybody the liquidity they need. Plus, you have a mining business. That is plenty. Now, you want to do 10 other things. You want to do 10 other things. You will stay in Chapter 11 for another 12 months.
Here's my question for you.
You decide. How long do you want to be? How long do you want to be in Chapter 11?
Here's my question for you.
We seem to be complicating the case here by adding more and more hurdles that are not necessary.
I'm questioning the fact that the UCC and the court will go along with a plan that doesn't present a picture.
They go along with a plan that has the vote.
Alex, please. Alex,
they go along with a plan that has a vote of half of the community. That's what they go along with. That's their job. Their job is to make sure.
We have to hear from the UCC. I don't think that's enough. If you don't have a plan that is
the UCC represents you. The UCC represents you. Do you want to get out of bankruptcy quickly, or do you want it to take 12 months?
Joe, what are you basing your feelings off of? Why is it that you have this unmovable?
I've spent literally the last 3 months around the clock studying every docket and every aspect of this. I could be wrong, but from what I'm seeing, it seems like feasibility is the biggest issue. The UCC said it themselves. If we can't come up with a plan that's more feasible to get us out of Chapter 11 and be profitable, then they're gonna look at it as we're gonna end up back in Chapter 11. In which case they're going to push, and it's not in our hands. They're going to push the court, the judge, the UCC, Celsius itself is going to push to go in a direction that we don't want, which is exactly what happened with Voyager, right? So my question to you, Alex, is we know that there are certain things we can't do in the beginning, like lend, right? And I'm asking you to be objective here, not base your answer. Well, I'm saying
Again,
don't base your
Joe,
answer
Joe,
based.
Joe, listen, you're complicating it for no reason. Do you agree with me that the mining business is big enough to carry all of Celsius?
No.
So look at the numbers. That's what you're missing. Just go look at the numbers.
What are the numbers?
Look at the numbers. The company is filing new updated schedules. Do your math, and then hopefully you'll come to a different conclusion. Because
you're saying that mining is profitable enough to carry the expenses of Celsius out of Chapter 11 right now.
You are assuming that all the expenses they have are there forever. When you're building a facility, when you're done with the building of the facility, how much more money are you spending on it?
Take out CapEx. Take out the capital expense.
Okay,
so assuming we're fully operational today, is the mining facility, if we were fully operational, all the rigs are on it.
Again, I can't give you any numbers, okay? Because I'm not the source here. The company filed information.
You're telling me I'm assuming. I'm not assuming.
Anthony runs a mining business. Do you trust him? Do you trust his opinion?
The question is if the numbers will sustain.
Of course it's a matter of trust. The only thing that matters here is trust. So
Alex, it's a matter of feasibility.
Okay, you can argue with me all day long, but Anthony tells you...
I'm talking. You're arguing. I'm talking. It's a matter of feasibility. The question is it feasible?
I'm done. Thanks.
Okay. Unfortunately, I think you are, because you're leading us to a very bad path. You're telling us that we can get out of Chapter 11 without licenses.
Hold on a minute. I think we have to give each other, when we speak over each other, we don't get anywhere. And I think we need to let the question get out so then the answer could come out as well. And speaking over each other doesn't help.
Don't run away though. Just
Yeah.
That was the only thing.
So Zach, I'm not sure if you can reach back out to Alex and ask him, respectfully, this is his community. We're all a community. We're all together. And I think it's helpful if he does come back in here and answer some of these questions. We would love to hear from him. I think it's helpful. So, I'm not sure if you have a line where you can ask him to please come back, because we'd love to hear from him.
Yeah, no, I'll send him a message and see if he wants to come back in. But no, I understand.
The point is he can't just gaslight us. He's got to tell us the facts, and you can't say that there's a plan with mining, but then tell us the mining he doesn't have the numbers yet.
Right.
The mining is not going to be enough. So
Joe,
absolutely.
Having said that, Joe, let's just choose our words wisely, like gaslighting, all that stuff like that. Yeah, we all have our different opinions of what is what, but we ask questions, and I'm not saying that you didn't ask you asked very valid questions, very, very valid, but we just need to not talk over each other and just wait for someone to complete their thought, because then it just interferes with what their train of thought is. So Zach, if you will please ask him to come back, I think that will really help the community a lot, because as you can see, we have a lot of people up here that are requesting and want to ask questions. So please ask him as a favor to please come back in the room.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, that was going to be my only comments. The only reason I came up on stage is, if he's saying we need unity, then that's everyone, including him. And he's talking over Joe constantly when Joe's trying to
I was just going to
ask
say,
a question.
He's the one who was talking over Joe. I mean, no disrespect, Mary.
Unity.
It's very frustrating. I wasn't attacking him. I wasn't trying to attack him at all.
I agree with you, Beast. I agree with you, Beast.
I don't think Mary was blaming Joe. I'm just saying my entire thing was, every time Joe was trying to get his very valid questions out, Alex was talking over him, just trying to beat him down with rhetoric. And we need to have an actual constructive conversation, or else there's no point in him being here.
I 100% agree with you, Beast. You are 100% right.
Simon, go ahead.
I also don't think he's going to come back, and not because he's cowering, because it's his birthday and it's 9:00 at night and he's got other stuff going on. So
yeah, I was not trying to attack him. I'm not sure if I'm hearing. Am I talking over anybody?
You're good. No, you're good.
No, you're
okay.
good.
what's
honestly,
more
All right.
important than this?
Joe,
What's more important than this?
Joe,
Yeah,
Um,
and it's great that he's coming on, and if he can help us figure out, there's so many unknowns. If he can help us figure out the answers, but you can't just like ignore questions and bring up problems with Simon. I do the same thing to Simon. Simon, is brings a lot to the table, but he's got to be clear with us what he's willing to do and what he's not, and what he thinks is feasible and what's not. When we're asking Alex these questions, he's coming on his space as one of us. So be real with us. Simon may or may not have certain abilities that he or Celsius doesn't have at the moment. And if we don't have that feasible plan to get out of Chapter 11 in a way that's profitable, they're going to push us to Chapter 11, to a liquidation.
Yes, Simon and Sean take those questions like beasts, like they answer them straight up. Go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, sorry I didn't jump and hear the whole thing, but if there is a plan that genuinely makes creditors whole, then that's what we all have to go for. And if the plan is that mining makes creditors whole, I'm deeply skeptical about that, but I will remain completely open to the possibility. And all I heard was Joe just ask a few questions, and very valid questions, and just a bunch of rhetoric and telling us exactly what we should think. And to be honest, being asked saying you just got to trust. Do you trust? No one wants to trust. We want the numbers, we want the details, and that's a perfectly valid question. And so, look, I'm definitely not here to cause any kind of trouble. But all I heard was Joe just asking some perfectly valid questions, and Alex going nuts about that, and then
well,
jumping off in a fit.
I don't think I think that
let's
the
forget
real
that.
issue.
Zach, wait, give me a second. Let's forget that for a second. Let's just go into the thing that he said, whether you heard it or not. He basically said that the 10 plan that you gave to the community and the whole plan of action that you asked, that you helped advise on yesterday, that they're all putting into action. He basically said it's unnecessary, and and that your motivation to have to use you for licensing. So I'll just put it right out there for you.
Yeah,
Amen.
is getting out of Chapter 11 and operating all of the business mission impossible? Yes, that's what I've been working day and night on to try and make happen. Now, if we're suddenly being told that there is just a way of receiving your coins, and you don't need to do any of the regulated activity, and this is the most profitable mining company in the world, and it's going to fill a $3 billion hole, then I think questions should be answered, and I'd love to see the numbers and the plan. But when someone asks a few questions around, is that really feasible? And just to say, just trust, like that's a bit of an insult to me.
Sure, understood. But so basically, no change for you. You stand by, the conversation we had yesterday. The plan should be.
No, I haven't. I didn't think of the possibility that you could just get your coins and everyone could just get their coins. And I've got no evidence to back up the belief that mining can fill such a hole. And so I'd like to see such evidence, because I've been involved in mining since 2014 and I've never seen a $3 billion hole being filled in a mining operation. If it turns out that this is the best, leanest, most efficient, largest mining operation in the world, and that's all that's required to fill the hole, then I think we should really, really question those numbers. And there's plenty of experts out there that could really verify that. And I've got plenty of people that could give an opinion on that based upon sound experience.
Well, it's a shame.
But it's just a little. I just find it a bit strange that just by Joe asking a few questions, and I didn't see an aggressive approach, and then saying, what do you hear arguing, and then saying, no, you just got to trust. Like,
Simon, I don't think he was saying you have to trust me as far as getting this.
I said you got to trust the guy, the mining guy.
I think the point that Alex was trying to make was, Joe was vehemently saying, no, that's impossible. You can't have a plan unless you have these regulatory licenses gotten, and then you can't do this off of mining, and the judge won't approve any of this. And I feel like Joe was speaking from a place of fact, where it was rather a point of opinion. And again, I'm not saying Alex handled it well, but I think that's where the hard line got drawn, where Joe was coming in to say, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, it's not enough, you have to have this. And those are all points of debate, not points of fact.
Okay. All right. Well, I just hope to see a better approach to answering questions in the future. If trust is what's required, I think we want to see a lot more than that. And look, I'll just get back to where I originally started. Depositors first. The correct word is creditors first. If it turns out that this is the path, I'll remain deeply skeptical, but I'll go with whatever gets people back their money in the most efficient way. And if I was thinking that you need a lot more businesses than mining in order to fill that hole, and so that was my goal, was to make sure that those businesses, those operations, can come back on tap. And if there was, I don't know what was said. If there was there's an alternative gender narrative, then we're getting back to the same old shit.
I think his point is we're pulling the numbers to verify this, and it's not just mining; it's mining, staking, and other receivables coming into the company that are substantial enough to not only make us nearly whole over time. I'm not going to say whole, but definitely contribute dramatically to the whole. But then the sale of assets and better market conditions could get us there a lot closer.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a better way of putting it, Zach. But to have someone come up here and say, all you got to do is be patient, you'll be made whole, that's the same shit that got us in this trouble in the first place.
For sure. Yeah, no.
This is the same misrepresentation.
Like a little girl.
Yeah.
Like literally, this is the same thing that's going to get this whole thing shut down. The same misrepresentations around all we got to do is sit here and we're going to be made whole. Like this is a highly risky operation.
Yeah,
anyway.
We have to be able to take the tough questions, and I agree with you, Crypto BTCs. I wasn't saying that Joe was being disrespectful in any kind of way. I just think Simon, you take those tough. I mean, we've been very hard on you, and you stay here. You don't leave. You take those questions. You answer them. So thank you so much. So. We still do have a lot of requests and a lot of people with their hands up, and they've been waiting for a long time, and I'm going to get to you, I promise. So GZA, Cam Cruz, and then Organic. And I see everybody else. I'm going to get to you, but I just want to be respectful and try to keep it in order. Unless you are specifically asked a question to, then you can go before any one of these people. So GZA.
Can we have the UCC front run, everybody?
Yes, I would love that. Yes.
With all due respect.
Yeah, hey,
how did you miss that?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, we have to take this moment and say, hey, and let's talk.
Thank you, UCC, for coming up. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so it's
okay. I'm here. GZA's up. I'm here.
I'm so sorry.
I'm here. I was hoping to actually get my question across to someone representing Celsius, like Alex Mashinsky. I'm trying to stay not so negative, but because I'm rooting for the community and Celsius to pull through this. But the two questions I had, and we kind of touched on that, was one is, how is Celsius going to rebuild trust? Is number one, and number two is, what is Celsius' view on preferences and clawbacks? That's it. Thank you.
So it's Greg at White Case for the committee. I've been listening in, and if I could make just a handful of quick comments, I think it'd be helpful to kind of guide this conversation, because I know it's late, especially for a lot of people.
Zach, I would assume you'd be second after.
No, DeFi Don.
DeFi Don, can you hear?
Greg speaking.
Oh, all right. Sorry. I can't hear him. I'll have to come back.
Yeah. Sorry. So if you all hear me. So listen, first off, it's great that everyone's on. I know it's late where a lot of you are, so it's great to see everyone so engaged on this topic. listen, first off, as to the last point, Alex Mashinsky does not speak for Celsius. He's not an executive of the company. It's being run by independent professionals, independent fiduciaries. You should listen to what they are saying on behalf of Celsius, not what former management is saying. So that's just point one. Point two, the thought that you can get out of bankruptcy and have an operating company without regulatory licenses is just a fallacy. The question is not whether Celsius in some new form needs licenses. It's how many and how do you get them and how quickly can you get them so the bankruptcy can end as quickly as possible. The thought that you're just going to shoot out coins is false, misleading, and it's dangerous for people to hear that. It's not going to happen. Period. Full stop. There's a lot of debate about what's a security, what's not a security, what do you need to get out of bankruptcy? But the thought that you're just going to shoot out coins like out of a vending machine is beyond false. It's reckless to even say that. And look, as to mining, it's literally early days. It's too early to say what the value of mining is. Yesterday, contingent from the UCC actually visited the mining site. Our two co-chairs went with a number of advisors. We met the people on the ground actually running the site. It's a very impressive place. It was a very informative meeting. We got a lot of great information. That said, we need to process it. We need to figure out what it means. And, then we can start making some informed choices and making recommendations to the community about how to view mining. It's just too early, though, to say, what is big enough to fill or not fill. The information doesn't exist. And if you hear that from people, you should just discount it. No one knows. We need to do the work. We need to figure it out. And then we can make an informed judgment. All of us can make an informed judgment. So, I think there's so many questions going on here tonight. I just wanted to raise a couple of those points and thank you all for contributing. I'll listen in for a little bit longer here. But, we're very busy at work getting ready. And we appreciate all of your patience and attention and your ideas because we are on social media, as I mentioned at the thing last week. We're listening in, we're reading everything to the extent we can, and there's no bad ideas. We're looking at everything, and we're trying to keep the most open mind possible here.
Can we ask a quick question?
Sure.
Just curious, obviously the community's been putting out plans from within the community, and there's two other people feverishly working on their own plans. What is the process that you all are going through right now in terms of reviewing those plans, and how much levity does it actually have in how you're going to, move forward?
I think the UCC has gotten a number of